Unit
Exactly.
audio review, Power
Yeah.
Cell. Um,
Yes. Oh, you don't have the lid, huh? That's okay. Just don't tip it over.
it seems to me that, the whole idea of, I know that, they've got a lot to work on. I mean, at Unit, it's just, there's a lot to go through. But it seems to me outsourcing research seems like a really bad idea with alien tech. It's like,
Yeah.
this seems,
Although vet them, and I mean they vet the people at unit as well.
but yeah, I mean, at least as long as it's in house, it's easier to control. You can,
Yeah,
and
I do agree they should have had the hired more people instead of outsourcing it to another
yeah, because
location.
you know,
Or at the very least had a safe house for it.
yeah, I mean, it's you know, have a sort of a, if you want to research this stuff, we've got a warehouse with laboratories. You come in, you work on it, you go back. You do this part time researching bit for us. But at that point, you might as well just hire some more unit people to go do stuff
Yeah.
because you have better control over unit people because you can track them and whatnot, and you
And I
vetted
think the
them.
problem with this is the whole it wasn't a unit personnel.
Yeah, well,
So
that's the whole. That seems to be the whole problem with it. It's like, I'm all for public-private. Bringing in the private sector in certain situations. It's great. They actually can be a lot more efficient than
yeah, like
public sectors.
adding private
But
security
but when
workers
when it's
to
classified stuff like this, you
yeah.
know, I, unit considering unit is the you the tip of the spear when it comes to dealing with alien threats. I would think they would have a little better funding.
Yeah. And I don't know if it is the funding that's the issue with that.
Well, if they had the funding, they'd hire more people. I would imagine. Just take the whatever grant you're giving to work on this stuff. Just turn that into a person you're employing. It's
Yeah.
like,
I mean, it would be the same amount of money in theory.
yeah, if assuming you're paying the school a grant to do stuff for you, just hire them in house and you know control everything. Keep the artifacts in a you know in house so that they can't wander off. They can't be stolen without it being
Yeah. Better
really obvious.
Yep.
a I mean, a university is not the most secure place to
Yeah,
have alien tech.
yeah. You know, it should be if not at the tower, someplace with similar security that you can go. I know where this is at any given time. If you try and take it out of the building, you'll be immediately shot by about 6 guards that are that are ready to fire on anybody trying to leave the premises with alien tech. You know,
I mean, we know they have alternative archive sites.
yeah,
They referenced it in the first one, and we've seen it in Doctor Who, Sarah Jane Adventures, various other spin-off series.
yeah. Just
So that
just
they
just
have the facilities for it.
just attach a lab to it. Just say, yeah, we're gonna build a lab facility right next to it. Attach it. That way, it's secure. It's like, oh, you need to do something, get something from the warehouse. You're here to work on lot 36A. All right, 36A. Going to the lab. It's in the lab. Okay, you're done with it in the lab. It goes back into the warehouse. It never has to leave a building. It just, It just goes
Even,
between these two buildings.
even police have better security as far as evidence.
Yeah,
You
and
know, they
this,
have to sign things off and everything.
yeah, here's a chain of custody and whatnot. But yeah, it's a little silly to, I understand. Yeah, they got a lot to go through, but and Osgood is very good, but there's only one of Osgood for now.
Well, technically.
For
I
now,
mean,
you could clone her, I suppose, if you got some alien tech, and then you could have mini Osgoods doing mini
well,
works.
technically there is Zygon Osgood because if you listen to various reference points within this takes place after the 20th anniversary. I mean, the 50th anniversary special.
Well, yeah,
Because, so technically there is Zygon Osgood. It's before Death in Heaven, but after the 50th anniversary. So there is Operation Double. So there are two Osgoods, but at the same time.
yeah. It's still It's still
Yeah, but
still
even just two Osgoods with over 300 R&D projects.
yes, but you're like, hey, Geneva, UN, can we just we've got a lot of stuff here. Could we, maybe get some funding for some more scientists so we can,
Right.
turn this stuff into actual tech we can put out.
And the UK is the head of the unit. The unit's like lead out
yeah,
of all of it. Geneva may be the big bosses, but
yeah, they're the
UK
purse strings though,
is,
so
yeah,
they're the people you have to talk to go, hey, could we just
yeah.
we'd like to open up more research, increase our research, bring it in house for safety.
And Osgood isn't the only one there. There's
Yeah.
also Malcolm.
I'm
There's
sure
Malcolm
there's
Taylor, Professor Malcolm Taylor. He is canon in the Doctor Who episode, at least one. He also is referenced a few times in the series itself, in the unit audios.
yeah,
So
but
do have more than just Osgood.
yeah, that big of an organization,
They have at
yeah,
least,
they should have more research people. They should have more sciencey folk. Are,
yeah. I mean,
are you
science
sciencey?
Let's do science.
Are you a wizard? That's basically what it means in Doctor Who for the most part. Are you a wizard?
Pretty much. Doctor, you are a wizard, Doctor.
Well, in Battlefield,
any
it was referenced
significantly
that he was,
advanced technology is indiscernible from magic.
indistinguishable from magic. And in the episode Battlefield, which was a Seventh Doctor era episode, it turns out he actually is the source of the Merlin myth.
Yeah, and we got River kind of confirming that. It's like I hate wizards and fairy tales. They always turn out to be him.
Yeah. So, but I mean, all the way back in the Doctor Merlin.
Yeah, basically he explains a heck of a lot of
mythology.
It's like, oh yeah, that was just the Doctor messing around. He was fighting a Zygon invasion at the time.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Go, Doctor.
Red suckers, poison land in the tongue. Yeah, I get the picture.
As opposed to the green scalies with poison-tipped tongues. The Silurian.
Yeah. But yeah, you think Unit would have, more authority to go, you know what? No, we don't. This is alien tech. Our remit is, if it's alien tech, it's ours. You know,
Mhm.
it's like alien tech, ours, mine, comes with us. If we don't like what you're doing, we take the alien tech. It doesn't matter. Oh, you think you own alien tech? No, we own that. This is ours.
Yeah, but the problem is they still have to answer to their government.
Yeah.
And as much as it pisses her off, she still has to deal with those a-hole bureaucrats like Sir Peter, who, as is with most government officials, bought out by big corporations.
But yeah.
But as you saw, Josh's plastic bone superpowers do come in handy. Sometimes a little too much for him. He just likes showing off.
Well, and it's one of those cases of when all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. Yeah. So, I mean, admittedly, though, Osgood does have the sonic lockpick, but
Yes.
he sees it from his own perspective. It's like, but I have super strength.
Got these powers. Why can't I use them? It's like you're not the Incredible Hulk. Cut it out.
Like, okay, we're going for stealth. Stealth.
Knock down the door.
Stealth. Stealth. And
I love the Professor. Are you here? It's like, why would you think he'd answer? Well, he might have fallen. He has a heart condition. He might have collapsed. It's like, yeah, you're knocking down the door is totally gonna help that.
yeah.
Eh,
I still haven't
And,
figured out what the alien
bang.
influence of the day is, but you know it's coming eventually. But yes,
Yeah.
the writers obviously hate business as well. It's like
Not
they're
business,
all alien monsters. It's like
just
there's no
big
just business
corporations.
that's just good and kind and does exactly what unit wants and whatnot. No, they've all got to be planning with the Autons or stealing research. It's like all businesses are evil.
Just the big corporate ones.
But
They haven't got anything against small business.
Yep.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, anyway,
And melted brains.
yes, should be interesting seeing which alien race is influencing them this time. Well, assuming there's an alien influence, but there's almost always an alien influence.
I don't want to spoil.
Yeah. It might just be corrupt, people in business, but it's Doctor Who. You can never rule out alien influence.
I actually really like
True.
this story because of the way they incorporated the aliens.
Yeah, so there are aliens.
Yes, there are aliens. But as to their influence in the story, that takes quite a while to the influence actually evolves over the course of the story. So it's actually very interesting.
But spoilers. Spoilers, darling. Spoilers, sweetie.
Yes, I know. That's why I cleared my throat and I'm like, okay, I'm done with the spoilers. You'll have to keep listening.
But
Although creepy alien ninja samurais attacking Osgood's flat.
No.
I love the you want me to open that? I love the fact that I love the fact that they climbed up Josh climbed up 5 stories, just Spider-Man style. Well, you tell me to drop in sometime.
Oh, and poor Jay.
I know.
The shortest unit introduced. He's like, oh, there's this promising character. Okay, maybe I should get to know who he is because he sounds like he's going to be in unit at some point. So I'm gonna have to learn what he is and how he's related to Osgood and all that. No, he's dead. I mean, it was a hero's death, but
True.
come on. It's like, oh yes, you know, there's 2 kinds of new unit people. There's either the ones that are going to be around forever, and they're the ones that are going to be around for 1 episode, if that.
10 minutes.
Yeah, he's there for 10 minutes. Oh, new character. I better get to know who this is, and he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somebody had to show
Who's gonna
how
get-
dangerous everything was, and they can't
Who's
kill
gonna
off
get-
Osgood.
Because he fancied Osgood. Jack, here.
Oh.
Osgood.
Oh, and while we're here, I don't know if this counts towards your. This is deep enough to be a spoiler thing for you, but they put out a new logo for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Is that within your spoiler thing? A new logo that.
Photos. I mean, I've seen some background pictures of Jodie walking around with her companions. That's not a spoiler.
Well,
So,
this
you know,
is just. It was just. The picture is basically it's 13 in silhouette, almost silhouette. You can see kind of a little bit of light on her, and then at the
A
top,
lot more.
it's got a new Doctor Who logo.
Cool. That I'd be okay with.
Yeah. Here, let me see if I can get you the image. Let's see that one. That one. Is that it? No, I don't think so. Well, that's kind of it, but that's been redone. Here we go. Yeah.
I just realized this beef jerky that my nephew gave me. It's Oz trim.
Oh,
OS.
good grief. Alright, where is that? Okay. And there you go. That's the new logo. But kind of reminds me of sort of a Xena or Hercules from the 90s
Mm-hmm.
kind of look. It's not bad. It's interesting to go back to because we had under Davies, we had that sort of golden sort of oval, elongated oval, and then
The as they like to reference it, the cabbie, the taxi logo.
yeah, got that one, and then we had the
The blocky TARDIS logo.
yeah,
And
and now we're going to have the Xena logo.
They changed our doctor and now they're changing the label. What's next? The name?
Yeah, didn't you hear all those anti-feminists? It's going to be called Nurse Who now.
Oh dear God.
But
Wait, so females can't be doctors?
According to them, no.
anyway, oh yeah, but yeah, it looks nice. I don't have a problem. It's nice to have a warm color again. Kind of got tired of all the cold colors. I hope the TARDIS interior for 13 is something warm. I am absolutely sick of cold TARDIS interiors and cold logos. It's like,
No, you see, I did not like the ninth and 10th Doctor's interior. That whole yellow and
this
orange.
grunge phase.
Yeah, it was like, ugh.
Well,
not
I mean,
like-
it can be
I
warm
would-
without being grungy. You could be something more akin to what the 8th had.
Yeah, I wasn't fond of the 8th either, mostly
But-
because I hated that movie. But honestly, if they go back to a more classic, I
Yeah.
really like classic interiors, like maybe 6th Doctor, 7th Doctor era. That would be great.
I don't know that I've seen the 6th or 7th Doctor's interior. But yeah,
Well,
anything.
Pretty much the same as the first four, but
Okay.
just like a little bit more modernized as far as the console.
But yeah, I mean, just something bright and warm and something, that would be great. Because I mean, if you want to bring back the round things, that would be great. I mean, he kind of had round things with the late 11, 12's TARDIS. He did get the round things, but it was so
Mhm.
dark and cold and steely. I mean, I like it for a time, but it'd be nice to get something a little warmer.
Maybe
We haven't had.
not dark, but definitely like the white and the pristine. Like it was such a relief after 10 when 11's TARDIS had the
Oh,
that
11's
one-
TARDIS.
Yeah.
His first TARDIS was great. I like
Yeah.
this.
I
It
was
was
so
warm.
much of a relief after all of that orange and mess and like tentacles dangling from the ceiling.
It's
It was just like, ugh.
But yeah, yes, that kind of cool, chrome interior is nice every once in a while, but I'd like, we dealt with that from the end of 11 through 12. It'd be nice if the new one is sort of either goes more towards the bright sort of white classic
Mhm.
console, or it goes warmer, more akin to 8th, but not exactly 8th. Something in that vein where it's nice and warm and it's orderly, but it's warm and it's nice, and you can, it doesn't look quite in bright. It doesn't look so, grim. This 12's kind of looked a little grim in some ways. Well, not
I
grim.
agree. It
but
was like
I'm
it was
going a little
the
too far on that,
darkness
but-
of it was less, it's atmospheric. Yeah, no. Here, I'm gonna send images of what the
Well, I know what
Doc-
1 and 2's TARDIS generally look like. It was basically white room with round things, essentially, for the most
Well,
part. with a
yeah,
console.
but
The console is basically the only thing that really changed a whole lot.
the phone is dead, Jack. Yeah, I'm sending image. The console is the main thing that changed, but also the furniture, because some of the TARDISes actually did have like more furniture and more in it than just the console.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the 6th, 7th Doctor.
Yeah.
It's clean and bright and more pristine. Of course, we'd want it to have a little bit more modernization than the old school. It looks like something made out of Legos.
But yeah, I mean,
Meaning,
I kind of want to see something, after all this time of having New Who, and we've never had, we had it for a brief moment during the 50th anniversary, but we've never really had a classic TARDIS interior. They've never gone retro and gone back to a
They
more or
they
less
did
white
go back
TARDIS
to,
interior.
yeah, they did do retro with the exterior. The exterior, they went retro as far as Moffat's era. They had the St. John insignia on it, like the classics had. They had the similar dimensions of the classic Doctors. Like it was basically a remodel of the exterior was a remodel of the first Doctor's TARDIS. But oh yeah, he's fine. But the interior was still. I think what they were trying to do with the 11th Doctor was trying to make it modern retro but trying a little too hard with the Gallifreyan symbols on the ceiling and all that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I actually like it, and I like it better than any of the other things up until later in his era when it got all dark and like, ugh.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it would be interesting to go with a, if, you went back to sort of the stark white interior that, and it'd also probably be cheaper to build. Oh, we just need to build a big white room with round things. Okay. That's a construction, crew's dream is, okay, we need a square white room with round things on.
It wasn't square though.
What?
The room wasn't square.
Okay, it wasn't.
It was octagonal, I think.
Okay, well, it was angled. I'm looking at the pictures and I see corners, so I figure
there are corners, but it was, if you notice, the angle of the corners was a little wider than a square.
Okay.
So I think it was either sextagonal or octagonal. Because it looks to me like the corners match up with the corners of the console.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, still, that's not a terrible ask. It's like, oh yes, flat panels, bright white, round things. 6 panels,
right?
Flat, white, with round things in them. And then we'll scatter some furniture around. And that'll be...
Yeah.
The console is going to be the hardest job, basically.
Yeah. Because the console, they'll probably want to keep with the extra tall, like, floor-to-ceiling thing that they've had throughout the entire New Who series.
Yeah.
But... And I think that's okay as far as the console goes. Because if you think about it, the TARDIS is a living creature. And that could just be the console grew as it did.
But...
that could have been an evolution. But as far as the rest of the background and the setting and everything, I don't even mind the extra stories within the control room. They had that in the 8th Doctor era too, where they had the different, like, they had that staircase with the bookshelves behind it.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that, but I think the main layout should still be a little simpler.
Yeah.
Give more credence to the acting and the character development and the writing to this.
I gotta imagine 13 is going to be more cheerful than 12. Not that 12 was bad in any way. He was just, that was his character. He was a more somber, more focused Doctor. He didn't flap his arms about when he had to speak. He was, more...
he did wave his hands a little bit, but not quite as emphatically as 11.
Are you capable of speaking without flapping your arms about? Yes. No.
I could just imagine him and Jack Sparrow having a conversation while tied up.
It's like, I can't speak. Why? My hands are tied up.
No! I can't speak either. Why? I can't reach my rum.
Yeah, I mean, he was a little more somber, and she looks like she's already getting a little more bright coloration with all of her stuff. so far, it seems like everything's going a little brighter, a little more lively, a little more, you know.
Well,
It,
if you think about the way the doctors are during regeneration, they kind of flip their personalities. Like the each doctor takes one aspect of their, it takes one aspect of the former doctor and flips it on its head to become the opposite. Kind of, like how the ninth doctor was sort of not so much somber, but because he was silly at points, but he was more emotionally drained because of the Time War. And then the 10th Doctor was more flippant about it and more, badass about it because he just went from being upset to pissed off. And he was a lot darker as far as that goes. And then the 11th Doctor, again, was a lot more lively and a lot more
the man who
emphatic.
regrets and the man who forgets.
Exactly. And he's a lot more fanatic about everything. He looks like he's on a 12-year-old on a perpetual sugar high. So they took him and flipped him into the more austere 12th Doctor, who is more focused and a lot more subtler emotions as far as how he reacted to things. He planned a lot more in his head than he let on, whereas the 11th Doctor planned everything out loud and just like spouted off everything that came to mind.
Yeah, he did the whole Pandora. He's the one who did the Pandorica speech. It's like, yeah, I don't know that 12 would have done necessarily the Pandorica speech.
No.
Hello there.
And then they do that. They've done that since the beginning, though. I mean, the first Doctor was the grumpy grandfather who was very much strict, and he had that impish side, of course, but at the same time, he was a lot more, structured, and a lot more constricted with his views on things. And then he jumped to the second Doctor, who was a lot more flippant, a lot more fun, a lot more silly, a lot more. He was the kooky uncle, ooh, that says don't enter, let's go,
Allons-y.
One of my favorite lines from one of the second Doctor era was, Doctor, that sign says do not enter. Oh, that's just to keep unwanted people out. Yes, but aren't we unwanted? Let's go.
Doctor, that's where the nuclear bombs are.
And then it went from that to a little more straight-laced again with the third Doctor. He was more posh, a lot,
He was posh with kung fu.
Well, he went from the second Doctor who jumped into trouble, and then he was the second Doctor was the one who, those little kids who go up and poke the angry dog, and the dog ignores him, and then as soon as the dog just jumps at him, he goes running screaming. That was the second Doctor. And then the third Doctor was all like, "Oh, that doesn't concern me. I can't deal with that." He was the angry dog. You poke him enough, he'll just punch your lights out.
But
And then the fourth Doctor was again kooky and crazy and didn't plan as much as the third Doctor did. And so each time the Doctor regenerates,
he flips between serious and silly a little bit.
Yeah, and between, darker and lighter and that sort of thing. And one aspect changes to the flip side. It's not always serious versus silly, but, sometimes it's just their activity level as far as like
their energy and how they handle things changes.
Yeah,
yes.
The second Doctor was more eccentric and very slapstick and hyperactive, and then the third Doctor was all calm and composed.
Yes, and he wore a bit of clown pants.
Yeah. And so it flips. So since the 12th Doctor was so austere and so not so much composed, because he was a little grumpy at times, but at the same time he was very above it all, I guess you'd say, as far as he'd meddle, but he didn't consider himself quite at level with everything else.
Yeah, so he's got a little bit in common with one. Got a bit more in common with one.
Yeah,
then,
so I think the 13th Doctor will probably be more involved as far as emotionally involved. Like, you remember the flashcards that the 12th Doctor had to do because he lacked the cognitive empathy. He empathized, but he couldn't quite express that empathy because he didn't quite know the proper social cues and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think this Jodie's Doctor, especially being a woman, not saying that all women are like that or anything, but especially since they made the new Doctor a woman, I think they're going to incorporate that enhanced cognitive empathy, that enhanced level of almost a maternal instinct to it, that's caring about everybody type Doctor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, haven't there been like
we've seen other Doctors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, overall, it's not completely 100%, obviously, but like, women are better at reading emotional cues than men are. They just are. On average.
On average, yeah.
On average,
but then there are the autistics who, like me.
There's obvious exceptions, but
on the whole, I'm capable of empathizing. Like, I can put myself in another person's shoes, but I can't read the emotional cues of other people.
Yeah. On average, when they do studies, they find that, if you're looking at the average woman and the average man, the woman is going to be able to read social cues emotional cues at a lot higher rate than the man can.
They have that women's intuition thing, which I think they'll probably incorporate in the new Doctor, just because that's something that was incredibly lacking in the last Doctor. So it created kind of a characteristic vacuum that the next Doctor, it doesn't matter if the Doctor would be a man or a woman.
Yeah.
I would think that the next Doctor would have that.
Yeah, they would have to be. They would have to be, someone who is almost, incapable of reading emotion in some ways.
Yeah. Last Doctor
you're gonna have to flip it to somebody who can read emotions very well.
Exactly.
That is maybe not so. 12 was very emotionally stable, but couldn't read emotions. This one might be
that cognitive empathy. He was unable to understand other people's emotions as far as like how they presented, which we saw a lot. And so I think this new one would be a little too empathic, maybe, a little too not soft, but just a little too kind, maybe, which would also give a nice tie into that end speech that the 12th Doctor did.
Yeah.
Always be kind, never be cowardly.
Try to be nice, but always be kind.
Yeah.
She might try a little too hard to be nice, and eventually have to turn around and be kind. Because kind isn't always nice.
True.
Sometimes when you want to be kind, you have to kick somebody in the butt.
I'm not expecting a Fluttershy. I'm not expecting the soft.
If that 10 seconds we saw at the beginning, brilliant. It's a lot to read into a few seconds, but I highly doubt we're going to get a shrinking violet. This is not going to be a shrinking violet. This is going to be somebody who looks at danger and destruction and goes, "Oh, brilliant!" Then
she's not going to be that nice, but she is going to be extremely kind. I don't think she's going to be like super soft and nice. But I do think she will start out and be extremely kind from the get-go, which isn't always nice, like you said. So she's not going to be all soft and fluffy, but she will go out of her way to enact as much kindness as she can.
But we're speculating off of about 10 seconds worth of material. It's like, you said she she regenerates, goes, oh, brilliant, and then falls out of the TARDIS.
Yeah, no, I'm not even basing it off of just that 10 seconds. I'm basing it off of the Doctor's evolution throughout the 50 plus years.
What I was talking about right there, that all brilliant business.
Yeah.
That part was based off of 10 seconds, but I don't think we're getting. I think we're going to get. We're definitely going to get somebody definitely sillier, because it'd be harder to go more grim than 12.
But you can't get colder than 12. Can't get much.
So when you have an ace, you can't go any higher or lower depending on which way you read the ace. But, but if you got an ace high, you got to go down from there.
And there, you can't really go, harsher than 12, which I loved 12's harshness, because the harshness overlapped with he had a gentleness to him that he covered with the harshness, and you could see that in a lot of episodes.
But
so I think she's going to be a lot more open with her emotions and a lot more open with other people's emotions. A lot easier to read as far as other people are concerned.
But again, this is speculation based off of, patterns of history and what little we've seen of her, and the fact that she's gone with a brighter scheme on herself. Her own theme is, a little more,
a little lighter.
Yeah,
as far as she's got that 10th Doctor long coat, which it is very similar to the 10th Doctor long coat, because I had gotten a trench coat that I was going to use for a 10th Doctor, but I realized it worked for hers, so in 5 minutes I made her costume out of scrap.
She's got the braces, I think, or suspenders, and
bright yellow braces and the rainbow striped shirt.
Yeah, it's like, everything is brighter, whereas, like, and especially if you look at her versus 12 in terms of the color scheme, like, the middle of her, sort of her torso, is the darkest part of her. That shirt is probably the darkest. I think it's been a while since I looked at the picture, but
black shirt with a rainbow across her chest, and then she has kind of denim blue, but not denim.
Yeah. So for her chest is the darkest part of her. Her torso is the darkest part of her, and then everything else is lighter than that, besides the stripe. What?
It's muted, but not. It's fairer but muted.
Yeah, everything's just lighter than that. Whereas for 12, it was the opposite. He had the bright white shirt, but everything else was black or dark blue.
Or burgundy. His jacket was this gorgeous burgundy.
In the lining of it.
No, the outside too.
For 12?
The outside of that velvet coat, the longer one that went down to his thighs and that had the little bit of a flare to it.
I don't remember that one, but
it is so gorgeous. I want that coat.
But like his magician's outfit, his normal magician's outfit, though, everything was sort of dark except his shirt, and she's got kind of a dark shirt, but everything else is lighter.
And the magician coat was actually red inside, not burgundy.
So sorry, my color naming sense is okay. Well, that's burgundy is a red, right? Yeah. Okay.
Actually, it's more of a purple red, but yeah, or brownish purplish red. It's very dark.
Again, to me, that is red. It's red.
There's the jacket I'm talking about, the one that I want.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot about
Ooh,
that one.
nice.
Isn't it
Sexy.
snazzy? It is. It's satin-lined velvet exterior. It's just like I
It's
want
very
it.
3. It's very
It
3.
is. It is very 3. And
But-
with that shock of like gray hair above it,
Yeah.
definitely a third Doctor. The only thing
I still like the darker
the black,
the black with the magician's
black
coat.
red lining.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
red lining. I still like that one better, but I can understand why somebody would like that one.
Although he also had a navy blue with the he had a black and a navy blue of the same kind. No, I think it's only navy blue.
Well, whatever the darker version, I like that one a little better, but that's again personal taste.
With the hoodie. With the hoodie.
No, I don't remember that one. The one I liked having the hoodie, I think it was just the one that just looks like a magician's coat. It looks like he's gonna pull he's gonna pull a rabbit out of a hat. I think that one was that was the coolest. That was my favorite of his era. But just like I like 11's tweed. I like the tweed. I thought that was cool.
Oh yeah, I liked 11's tweed. My
Yeah,
nephew actually suggested
the first one of that. I like that one. The first one of those two you put up. Yeah, the red interior. Yeah, that was my favorite, especially when it's buttoned and it kind of does that little flary thing. But
yeah.
Yeah, not as big a fan of like the lower one. That one's okay, but I like the sort of 3-piece suit sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
But
I like the velvet one better. So snazzy.
yeah, I like my favorite Doctor outfit is probably it's a toss up between 11's tweed and 10's like blue suit with the long coat.
Yeah, I'm not
Those
a
two
big
are-
fan of I do like the long coat definitely, but the suit just
I like it.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
personal taste.
Yeah. Personally, my favorite coat though is the the sixth Doctor. I'm kidding.
Oh God, no.
I like the second Doctor coat.
And there are people out there who love the 6th Doctor outfit. I don't know what's wrong with them, but they do.
To be fair, I both love it and hate it. I love it from an aesthetic, like academic standpoint. It's so hideous. It's like it's so hideous. It's cute, but it is so hideous.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is they have recolored that in some things for a blue color and to more of a blue color in some things.